Hi, I am Cyndi, and today I am bringing to you another writing video. Today's video is on literary conflicts. As writers, we should use both an external conflict and internal conflict within our stories. Internal conflict drives character development, while external conflict creates essential tension throughout the story by the use of obstacles the character must overcome to accomplish his or her goals. Remember that both external and internal struggles occur naturally in real life, and so they should be reflected in the stories we write as well. Um, what types of literary conflicts are there? Well, there are a fair number. Um, Man versus fate is one type of external conflict in literature, where a prediction from an oracle or a mystical source challenges the character's free will by announcing a specific destiny. Authors use the structure to craft the storyline. Famous examples of the man versus fate, or if you prefer, the character versus fate conflict, include stories from ancient Greek mythology and Shakespearean plays. While there are many variations that exist, the most traditional version involves a character who hears a prophecy about the future and spends a great portion of the story trying to avoid it, only to accidentally make it come to pass. So they were pretty much uh, going to go through that no matter what they do. And we see an example of this in Harry Potter, in the prophecy of Harry and Voldemort. Other literary conflicts include man versus society, man versus nature, man versus himself. Academics break these up into external and internal conflicts, which are essentially tropes and a means of relating the conflicts in literature. They have nothing to do with gender or masculinity per se. When I spoke of character arcs in a previous video, I discussed the maiden arc using primarily feminine terms, and then I discussed the hero arc using more masculine terms, even though I was actually discussing the life of one character within the story. In fact, it was the same character. We might also refer to literary conflicts as character conflicts. That might be more appropriate given the state of things in our world. So, character versus character, character versus society, character versus nature, and character versus self. And to that, we could add two more: character versus the supernatural, and character versus technology. Examples of character versus self are Emma by Jane Austen and Dr. Seuss's The Grinch. And example of character versus society would be Atticus from To Kill a Mockingbird and Katniss in The Hunger Games, and maybe Andrew Clavin's Another Kingdom, where here it is. If you've not seen this, here's my copy very fast. In this is a story, if you're not familiar, Austin Lively is a character who has been writing for Hollywood, and it's not a good situation. And he finds himself falling into another kingdom and the 11 lands. And he is at struggle with um, that society, and then because periodically he falls back into our world, he is also at odds with our society. It's a little weird and a lot of fun. So that's a couple of examples of character versus society. In the character versus nature, that might be, I think of Jaws and Jurassic Park. We see character versus character, which is anytime two characters are colliding, but we see one of those in Moby Dick. Although I have to admit, at first I thought that story was actually character versus nature. I don't think it is. I think that we've got two very strong characters in Moby Dick. And then also, I'm thinking Jurassic Park, which is largely character versus nature, but with the introduction of the Indominus Rex in Jurassic World, the story becomes character versus character. When I think of character versus technology, I think of things like 1984 comes to mind, along with Terminator, 2001 Space Odyssey, and Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. An example of character versus supernatural would be Stephen King's The Shining, and probably most of the horror movies that we've seen. Um, well, that's all I have for now. So until next time, you have a great night, a great week, and if you're writing, happy writing. And of course, keep on reading.